Grace and peace to you from our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. How is everyone tonight?
Good.
Great. So, what are the 10 Commandments and why do they matter? So you all know about like rules, right?
Yeah.
You know what rules are. And you all have, you know about what boundaries are, yes? Well, as you might know, I have twin, almost 5-year-olds, boys. They're a delight. But rules and particularly boundaries are absolutely necessary. They are key to helping them navigate the world and to keep me sane as well. So, for instance, we play outside, right? And we unfortunately don't have a fence. A fence, right, is usually a really good boundary keeper for kids, right? It lets you be outside, you can be a little free, but you know, if you don't have a fence, such as we don't, we have boundaries. We tell our kids, you know, you can go stay on the grass, don't go on the sidewalk, don't go in the alley, because we live on an alley, you can't go in there, they don't. But like all children, and like all of you, do they cross those boundaries? All the time. All the time. And then we talk about why those are boundaries again, right? Well, it's to keep you safe in case a car comes. But there was no car, Mom. Why can't I play in the mud puddle? Okay, just stop. The best way I've ever been able to describe what the 10 Commandments are is they are our fence. The 10 Commandments are our fence, or our boundary. It's a way for us to know when what is happening in the world, be that our own behavior, sometimes, right, that we talked about that was like each individual's behavior, or that of our communities, the behavior of our families, the behavior of our churches, etc., whether or not those are moving beyond what God would consider life-giving boundaries, okay? Fences. Now, like my boys, we will cross these boundaries. We cross this fence. We sometimes will stick your foot through it. My boys sometimes do have a fence. When they were littler, we had one of those like cages. And I call it a cage. It was a full, it was brightly colored cage, but it was a cage. And they'd like stick their fingers through, and then they'd stick their foot through, and then at one point they figured out that if they both got on one piece of it, they could tip the whole thing over. Then we got rid of the cage. So, well, and you might hop over the fence every once in a while, or maybe open the gate every once in a while, time and again. You let people in to those boundaries, and sometimes we go out and we explore what's outside of those boundaries. Hopefully we come back. Most of the time, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But what's important about understanding the 10 Commandments as a fence, as boundaries, is it's not a brick wall. Okay? This is what it's not. Whoops. It's not a brick wall. So you'll just do like a big, like we did that circle thing and like that strike through thing. Pastor Krinky's so much better at this than me when it comes to that. Oh, yeah, thank you. Just fantastic. Top notch. But what the 10 Commandments aren't is a brick wall. And I, for one, am one of those people who's always leery when anyone uses something of God's as a brick wall. So, with that understanding, how do these 10 Commandments help us? Like, okay, so they got some 10 Commandments. What are they going to tell us about? These boundaries that God is giving in the 10 Commandments aren't actually arbitrary or random. They have a purpose. And they are directed at a very important and key component of our faith. Anybody want to take a wild guess at what I mean by that? Yes. Yeah, nope, that's totally fine. The 10 Commandments have a purpose, and they are directed at a very important and key component of our faith. What do you think that is?
That we always, they are not like things that we have to like live by, but things that we have to keep in our hearts and like try. If we break them, we won't die.
You Well, we're all gonna die. Well, I feel like we should just be clear.
They aren't.
Everybody dies.
It's not a rule, it's a covenant.
Nice, good. So key component is covenant. And to have a covenant, what is required? That's actually good. To have a covenant, what is required?
Well, it's like a promise. You need like two people, so you need God and us.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. You have to have a relationship, right? You can't have a covenant without having a relationship, right? So you have your person. This is you. Yay! You're super happy. And you have awesome hair. So you have you, right? And you have covenant, and you're going to relate to other people. So here's some other people.
Do they have awesome hair?
You know what? You know what? They can have all sorts of kind of hair. Let's just,
Or
you know, and we
Craig
can.
would like to be included.
Who?
Craig.
Oh, perfect. Sorry, I
He
apologize
needs to have a
for the hair challenge, the follicle challenge. So you have you, and then you have others. And you're gonna have to figure that out. Work on it. No. I said it. I've already said what's the meaning of the fence. No, I'm not writing it down for you this week. You got it. Okay, so if you're waiting for me to write down the meaning of each of your boxes this week, no, use those pretty little brains God gave you. Now I don't remember where I was. Hold on.
Relationship.
Yes.
Promise.
Yes.
Others.
So others, and the 10 Commandments help define what that relationship, so you to others, helps define what that relationship should look like, or more directly with the 10 Commandments, it tells you what that relationship shouldn't look like when it isn't life-giving anymore. So, you know, when a friend starts lying about you, otherwise known as bearing false witness, probably not a great relationship anymore, right? Or when you find yourself preoccupied like all day, every day with like, man, all these things that these other kids have and they're awesome, or these other adults have and they're really cool, and I want that car and I want that thing and I want this much money. When that becomes your preoccupation, probably not the best way to live your life. And also murder, that's like not a great, you know, foundation. We're not, I'm gonna say that's a question to ask in your small group. But yeah, murder's not a great foundation for relationship, yeah? So as we're in relationship to others, but we are also in relationship to God. Now, and here's the beautiful thing about our God. Our God is in relationship in God's own self. That is called the Trinity. Yay! And the Trinity can be symbolized by a triangle. So sometimes when you get tired of writing Jesus or God, just make a triangle. It's Trinity.
And this red Trinity under it?
Or put a stick figure
Go
inside
for
of
it.
it and give it a blue sash.
So we're in relationship with not just any God, but the triune God, who is in relationship with God's own self. There is relationship in the midst of God's identity, the way that we understand God. So, when I say relationship is core to our faith, I mean relationship is core. Our own God is in relationship with God's own self. It's like deep, people. We're not going to go much further in the Trinity because then it gets really confusing. So how do we relate to God? Well, as our only God, that's a start. And maybe not to use God's name in vain. And I mean like cranky, so annoying. We can use any name in vain. Ugh, right? Any name you can use in vain, maybe not the best idea to have good relationship with each other. Sorry for using your name in vain. Can you forgive me? Thank you. I already told your family that I was going to do it so that they knew I wasn't talking about them. And thirdly, to remember that we are creatures. That we are creatures of God's, and that God is worthy of time and of our time, which is what the Sabbath is all about. So, now the 10 Commandments can be divided into these two types of commands: relationship to God and relationship to others. And these are called our tables.
Squares.
What?
Squares.
No, these are tables. Thank you for mocking my. So this is table 1. Number 1. And here's table number 2. Yeah? And now table number 1 is 1 through 3. Oops. And table number 2 is 4 through 10. Boop, boop, boop. Now, okay, this is the last piece I want to say about that. We can take the 10 Commandments and we can make them very, very personal. And that's okay, it's totally fine. But these 10 Commandments are not always just one-on-one. These 10 Commandments are also communal. They were given by God to the tribes, the communities of Israel. They were given communally, not to me with my personal piety and faith in God, which is important and you should have it, and that's not what I'm saying. But it's always that and, okay? It's always both and. It's both who I am and how I engage in the world, and it's how I engage the communities that I participate in also engage in the world, okay? So that could be our churches. Do our churches live into these 10 Commandments? Do our churches bear false witness to each other? Yeah, a lot of times we do. It's not our best time sometimes. Do our families, within our own family systems, within our families, from one family to another? Me and my brothers and sister, man, whoo, we break a whole lot of commandments against each other sometimes when it comes right down to it. Our families do these things to each other. When you get into, if you read the Small Catechism and you read the murder, you shall not murder, it also, Luther takes it one step further and says you shall not hate. And we got that running rampant, right? All over the place. Just like you can't walk and not kick some hate around in our society right now. So how it's not just me and my faith, my relationship with God, but it's also the communities and how we participate in those communities with each other, and how those communities participate in relationship to others, and how communities participate in the relationship to God. So always imagine you always got all these other people behind you too. Yes? Always people. Lots of people. Okay. Now, I only have 2 boxes left, and I haven't actually talked about the 3 commandments that I was supposed to talk about. So I decided to just talk about the most important one instead with my 2 boxes. And of all of the commandments, the first is absolutely, I will die on this hill, the most important commandment that we've ever been given. And it's the most important because if we ever could actually live in to the first commandment, the other 9 would become irrelevant. So, but since we can't, we have to have 10. So, here's my question. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Sometimes I have to think really hard when I draw. So give me a second.
Do you expect me to draw this?
You are gonna be great. I believe in you. You just gotta delete. You just gotta delete these little guys. These little. You're gonna be awesome. Then color them in. That's what you do if you have a pen. Okay. Love and trust. What do you love and what do you trust in this world? Oh, here. Sorry, I can push this down.
No, you can't.
No, I can't. I cannot push that down. I'll just move it. No, that's not a rhetorical question. What do you love and what do you trust?
Family.
Family.
What did you say?
So, and that would probably go under both, right? We love and trust family.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Totally fair.
Friends?
Friends, both. First, love and trust. Yes.
No. Well, it depends.
Well,
Actually,
sometimes I love some people that I don't trust.
Pets.
Pets.
I don't trust my family.
Okay.
Do I trust them?
What do you think about just what do you trust in this world? What do you trust? What do you know will be there when you need it? God. Okay.
Mom and dad.
Mom and dad, parents,
Even his sister.
even your siblings. Even your siblings.
Hey, I like my brother most of the time.
Yeah. What about something like
Myself.
yourself? That's a good one.
Your dog.
Do you love and trust yourself or just trust?
Trust.
Just trust.
I love
Totally
my
fine.
dog.
What about things like You trust that the firefighters will show up when your house is on fire, right? So what would that be called? It'd be like what? Social or emergency services. Thank you. What is that called? Tell me what that's called. EMS, right? Yes.
Grandparents.
Grandparents. We'll put grand right here. What other kind of things outside of aunts? We got it. Family. We got it. But what kind of things outside of that do we also believe that they'll show up or be
Trust, like our teachers, the teachers.
teachers? So our whole education, right? We trust our education. Yeah, Hannah. Our neighbors. We don't always love them, right? But we might trust them. Okay. Yes. Therapists. Excellent.
Our church.
Church. What else might we love? Let's take it out of the personal. What might other people that aren't like you? What do other people love? Food?
I love
chocolate.
sports.
Okay, that's a food, so we're gonna keep it together. Sports? Hold on, I got that one. That was a good one. Yeah.
Your phone.
What?
Your phone.
Your phone? Excellent.
Oh my gosh.
So true though, right? God.
Technology.
Yep.
Bible.
Bible. We'll put technology here. You don't think anybody loves money?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a good one? Should we put that
Not
one?
me,
Oh.
but other people.
Yeah, not you. Other people.
Okay.
Other people love money.
Aren't you supposed to be doing that?
Obviously have.
Okay. Yeah? Alright, so this is why we did this exercise. What we put our love and our trust in,
Like doing your thing.
these are the things that become our gods.
Aren't you in that crazy?
Where we put our love and our trust. When we talk about you shall have no other gods before God, what God is saying is you shouldn't love and trust anything above me. When we love and trust things, these things become our idols. So they made a crack in the movie, the video about that idols have like gone by the wayside. They haven't at all gone by the wayside. We have idols galore in our society, like literally everywhere. Like pick a famous person, and we have idolized them. We literally have a thing called the America's. What is the idol? What's the idol? What's American Idol? I'm like, what's that called? What's that
America's
show?
Got Talent.
Like we literally have a show
LeBron James.
called what is it? American Idol? Is that what it's called? Okay.
Hey, guess what? I'm Jimmy's idol.
Yes. See,
Brother Cool.
I am.
when we put our love and trust in things, those things become our gods. Okay. So,
Can we put God and a big heart in between them?
not yet.
God, a cross in the back.
1 second. You went where I was going. Thank you, Dane.
Whoa!
What? So, okay, I had to look at my picture because I forgot what it looks like. Okay. Okay. Now, in case you can't tell, that is an altar. In case you
I
can't
still
tell.
don't see it.
So, it's an altar. You guys don't have one.
Yeah,
Isn't yours like that
just
too,
like
right?
that.
I thought this was gonna work because you guys have one like that
Just
too.
imagine the heating vents behind
It looks better on my
You gotta put the
picture.
stick thing with the blue sash in the middle though.
So, the question,
You
here's
gotta
the
put all
thing.
the tables in.
What do we put on our altar? Here's our altar, and what sits in that place of honor. Now, we look at ours in our churches, and it's got Jesus or some depiction of God or, But is that what's really the thing that we place our most love and trust in? Or is it a mirror? For me, that would be yes. If I get real deep down inside myself, the thing that I trust the most is myself. The things I am capable of doing. Yes? Or is it stacks of money? Is it fame? Is it family? Is it wanting family? The thing that you trust and love the most in this world.
That's my mom.
Yep. And those things become our idols. And those things keep us from loving God as our only God. In my personal faith journey, This is just personal to me. I've come to realize that this first commandment that was given to Moses, or the one given to Moses, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. A God who acts, a God who expects God's love from God's people, not just because, but because God did something for them and freed them from a life of slavery. And this is what God continues to do. This is what God did through Christ on the cross, freed us from the slavery to death that we had been living. So whether it's that first commandment given to Moses or the one spoken by Jesus, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. I mean, that's what Jesus said. It's the same thing. Whichever one of those, this is the thing that my faith comes back to over and over and over again as the stumbling block of faith. When I'm trying to figure out all this stuff, and I'm trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong, and I'm discerning things, and I'm like, oh, I'm in it, and I look awesome doing it. And then I realize I've lost sight one more time of the God who did something for me, who freed me from all of this. There's not much theology or much out there that talking about God that doesn't eventually get back to this first commandment if you break it down far enough. This is it. You want to know what it is to be a follower of Christ, to be a believer in the one God. It is to love and trust God above all else, and it will free you. And it'll do it over and over and over and over again, because, honey, you're going to need it. Because you're going to walk outside those boundaries over and over and over and over again. Amen. Go-see-go. I'll let you go first.